Hello, thanks for tuning in. My name is Julian. This is Dave. Today I will be explaining a program for a boxer. Alright, if you're not familiar with boxing, boxing is a endurance, strength, power, and mobility sport. Okay, and also technique. Today I'm going to go through a program that shows you what to do with a beginning boxer. Usually in the off season, preparing for a fight, or looking to become an amateur or professional boxer. A great way to warm up a boxer is shadow boxing. Shadow boxing gives the boxer the chance to imagine that he's in a fight and works on techniques and mobility, movement in the hips and around the court, around the gym. All right, the weights will just require him to focus more on really throwing those punches and moving with the weights. All right, you want to make sure your boxer is light on his feet and he's moving back and forward, pivoting, and really focusing on throwing those punches, extending those motions. This is more of a ballistic, dynamic warm-up. All right. So after 10 minutes of shadow boxing for a few rounds, you want to do more of a stationary stretch. All right. So more of a stationary stretch would be a stretch that you hold for 30 to 45 seconds. We're going to do toe touches, which stretches our hamstrings and our quads. The stretches that we're going to perform are the muscles we use, our boxers use when they are in the fight. Okay, so touch our toes. You want to hold for about 30 seconds, keeping your back straight, really focusing on stretching those hamstrings and those quads. Alright, and also your lower back. After 30 seconds, I want to come straight up, do a trunk rotation stretch. This stretch flexes the muscles in your hips and the outer thighs. Alright, this is an important stretch because you have to have mobility in your hips where you're boxing. Alright, get around the gym, get around the ring, and also have flexibility in your hips. Another stretch that focuses on those areas. Another stretch that focuses on those areas is a lunge stretch. So you're going to lunge to either to the left or right, open up the groin and those hip flexors. All right. You want to make sure your knee doesn't pass your toe. Okay. We want to prevent injury on knees by not doing so. All right. Hold it. Another stretch is our shoulders. All right. When we're boxing, when you're throwing punches, you're throwing your shoulders at a rapid rate. So you want to make sure your shoulders are loose and relaxed. All right. So do a cross the body stretch. So stretch the shoulders. Hold for 30 seconds. Good. Alright. After you've performed those stretches and you roamed up for about 15-20 minutes, we'll begin your workout. Okay, today I've designed a full body workout that I've put into phases and also a technique plyometric phase. Okay, we're going to begin with bench press. The exercises that will be performed will focus on the primary muscle groups that you use in boxing, so your chest, your back, your shoulders, your quads, your hamstrings. All right. So those are the primary muscles we'll focus on today. We're going to perform these at a moderate intensity. We're looking for more of endurance, muscle endurance. All right, so we're going to perform a high volume, 12 to 15 reps, moderate intensity weight. All right. So when you're performing the bench press, you want to make sure that your athlete has control of the weight, is not too low for them, and also make sure he's breathing well. Alright? 5 more. You also can have your athlete pause when he's at a down position to generate more force when coming up. Alright, do the last three. Usually on the last three you would want to do something like that. Good, relax. We're working the full body. When at least rest about 30 seconds in between repetitions and reps. Excuse me, in between sets. The next exercise we want to focus on is our lateral raises, okay? Lateral raises, keeping your arms straight. You don't want to go past your rotator cuff. This exercise will strengthen the rotator cuff and also the muscles in the shoulder. Alright? You perform this 12 to 15 times. Each one of these workouts you want to do 3 times, 12 to 15 reps, alright, with a rest in between sets at 30 seconds. Alright. During time, we're just going to go through one set with 15 repetitions. These workouts will build strength in the upper body along with the next part of our workout in the lower body. But these workouts will build strength in the upper body, which boxers use when they're throwing punches and applying force. Alright. Another exercise we can do is shoulder press. Presses also work on the rotator cuff and the shoulder muscles. But when you perform these, you're going to come down at 90 degrees. You're going to keep it 90 degrees. Just like that. Technique is always key. Always focus on technique when you're training your athlete. Working on technique will also transform into the sport they play. 5 more. Good. Good. Alright, relax. You want to perform a full body workout about 3 times a week. This to give your body time to rest on alternate days. Alright? So now we're going to work on our lower body. You can grab 25 pounds, 10 pounds, depending on your athlete's ability to do lunges. Alright, so we're going to perform lunges. We're going to make sure you do not go over your toes when you lunge. Lunges are focused on the primary muscles in your legs, which are your hamstrings and your quadriceps, and also your glutes. Alright, we're going to perform 20 of those, one each leg. This will build strength in the lower body that will transfer to power in the ring. And make sure your athlete keeps his back straight. He's not hunching over. That will prevent injury in the lower back. In a normal training session, I will complete each workout one time and then have a break. Depends on your athlete's ability. Rest is required. After you perform that, another leg workout is we call them fire hydrants. This is a workout to focus on the hip flexor and the hip muscles. Alright? So what you want to do is have your athlete sit down on mat on all fours, so feet and knees. Just go ahead. What you want to do is you want to make sure your athlete has a straight back. You want to get a resistance band. Put the resistance band onto your athlete's foot. Your athlete's going to rotate his knee forward, kicking outwards. Rotating all the way forward, rotating out, kicking outwards. Alright, this will strengthen the hip flexors and the hip muscles in your legs. You want to make sure the athlete pulls is getting that full range of motion, opening up those hips. This will allow him to pivot and move around in the ring when he's fighting his opponent. Give me 5 more. Good. Good. All right. 2 more. Nice. Last one. Relax. You'll alternate legs to build strength in the other hip. Alright. That is our first phase, which is our muscle endurance phase. Again, high volume, moderate intensity to build strength, but also build endurance in the muscle to last for a 12-round fight. Our second phase is our plyometric and boxing skill phase. This phase will more mobility and technique when it comes to being in the ring. Clear my area. A good plyometric exercise would be jump ropes. Jump ropes helps improve technique and footwork with your boxer. Alright, you'll want to jump rope 12 rounds. 12 rounds being the reason why you want to jump rope 12 rounds is because it's 12 rounds in the fight. So it helps the athlete train as he was in the fight. But for today we're going to do one. He's going to jump rope for 2 minutes. Alright? Jump roping and alternate legs the same way when you're bouncing in the ring allows your athlete to work on his fast twitch muscles in his legs as far as bouncing around and staying mobile when he's in the ring. This is a good way to build power and movement in the hips and also in the legs. And it's also an endurance workout. Boxing is primarily an anaerobic type of exercise, type of sport, because you want to be able to have endurance, muscle endurance when you're in a fight. You don't want, it's not more of a bulky sport like football and baseball. Alright. So after you perform 12 rounds of jump rope, we'll move on to our next one. Our next one is going to be shuffle. It's like a shuffle, but imagine us being in the ring. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to come at my boxer. Boxer's going to follow me around as he was pivoting. All right. So if I was a boxer, if I was his opponent and I was trying to get away from him, he's cutting me off by shuffling and switching his feet. All right. This also works skill and agility in the hips. All right. So you want to always make sure your athlete is loose on his toes. Want to make sure your athlete's loose on his toes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move certain ways and my athlete is going to cut me off. So if I try to step around, he's going to step up and cut me off. Alright? If I try to step around, he's going to step up and cut me off. Rotating his feet forward as if he was changing up. Alright? If I was moving forward, he's cutting me off. If I'm trying to get away from me, move side to side, he's cutting me off. This is a good way to build mobility in the hips. Alright, you perform those 3 times. Alright. After you perform those simple plyometric drills, work on skill work. Skill work, boxing skill work. So what we're gonna do is mid work. Alright. We're putting on the gloves for your athlete and make sure they're snug. You don't want any wrist injuries or blisters. Since we don't have any wraps. We want to make sure gloves are tight on that. Mid-work is a great way to train technique and punching patterns. Okay, punching patterns gives the gives the boxer ability to throw certain punches as he's fighting his opponent. So one thing you want to focus on when you do mid work is movement in the hips and pivot in the feet. Alright, right now we're going to do a series of punches. Our first punches are being a jab, left punch. Our second punches are going to be a double jab, left punch. Our third is going to be a jab, left hook. Our fourth punches is going to be a jab, left hook, uppercut. Alright, you want to make sure you focus on technique than quantity when you're working with your athlete. You make sure your athlete understands the movement in his hips and the lightness of his feet. Alright, so right now we're just going to do a series of punches. We'll do it 2 times. 2 times. Alright. Alright, so 1, 1. 1. Alright, you want to make sure when your athlete's, when he's boxing, he keeps his hands up. Because if he didn't keep his hands up and he had his hands dropped, the opponent is going to be able to strike him. We want to prevent that. So also make sure your athlete keeps his hands up. Alright? 1. 1. 1. Alright. Our second series of punches. Double jab, left hook. Our third series of punches is the jab, left hook. Alright? On this one, you want to make sure the athlete knows when he throws that hook, he pivots that front leg. It'll generate power into his punch. Alright? There you go. Get your leg. Get your leg. Alright. If you notice if your client's having trouble with it, slow down the intensity and focus on punches. So for example, if he was having a problem with it, I would say just go to jab, good. Alright. Our fourth punch is jab, left hook, uppercut. We're going to perform slow so you can recognize the technique that your athlete should have. Alright? So jab, left, alright. Yeah. As you see, every time, stay loose. You want to make sure your athlete bounces around so he can get the rhythm. Boxing is just like a dance. You want to make sure your athlete has rhythm and is able to move and stay loose. Alright, so when he's throwing that jab and he's throwing that right, when he goes from that hook and he wants to transfer into the uppercut, make sure he steps his back leg to the pivots to the right so he can generate power coming under that hook. Alright? So let's try it again. Move it slow. Pivot. There you go. Good. One time. One time. One time. One time. As you see your athlete getting, you can speed up the process. Good. Good. After that, now you want to get more technical with it and add movement into your punches, as if I was in the ring. Alright? Boxers don't never stay around and throw punches, they move around. So you want to make sure you teach that method. Alright? So when teaching that method, you can break these up in the whole parts, a whole part method where you show him the whole way to do it, or you can break it up in part methods. Beginning athletes that are boxers and also training and offsetting, you want to break those down in part methods. Alright? So this is the second part method of this one, and we're going to move around with it. Alright? We're going to go through those series of punches again and move around with them. Alright? Ready? This is more of a high intensity phase, and we in it. Alright? When you're doing mid work, you also want to do it 12 round in 12 round increments. Each set, okay? Each phase, excuse me. So this being the mid phase, the pivot and mid phase, you also want to train 12 rounds, alright? Alright, so ready? Good. So each time he said, form one, gather up and form another. All right? All right. So this is going to be our first set. All right. So 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Follow. We want to make sure when we're moving, after he's moving his feet, we want to be light on his feet and also want to follow you. Good. As you want to make sure that your athlete's able to move around when you work. So that's the area you need to work on. Slow down the process and focus more on technique. All right, so now we're going to do our second phase, which is double jab, right, double jab, right. All right? Good. Jab. Periodically throw punches at your boxer so he knows to keep his hands up. You don't want to prevent a knockout, just keep your hands up. Alright? Now we're going to do our third phase, where it's jab, right, hook. Okay? Also, when you're doing training, you want to make sure your boxer stays loose. You never want him to get tense, so make sure he stays loose within these rounds. In the rounds, you want to make sure that each round you want to make sure that you go, you want to make sure your athlete has a nice amount of rest. Because in the fight, you're not going to go a whole 12 rounds without a rest. Alright, so after a round, make sure your athlete has a good amount of rest, and this will allow him to build his endurance capacity. This is our last round, and this is our punches, which is the jab, left, hook, uppercut. Alright? Jab, left, hook, uppercut. I'm gonna move around so he can get the mobility up. Alright, let's work. Good, come on. Move with me. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Come on. Let's go. Get up. Come on. There you go. Good. Alright. A nice way to burn out a punch is to constantly throw punches around. Alright, this is throwing punches, throwing right jabs, right punches, and move around is a great way to learn technique from transforming each foot. That's a great way to learn to pivot your feet. Alright, so we're going to do that for our last round, and we're going to break it down. Alright, 2 minutes. So I want you to do it, hold like this. All you're going to do is boom, 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 and move around. Alright? So throw punches and move around. Follow me. Good work. All right. After you've trained for those 12 rounds, if you worked on technique and power measures, that second phase, which is power measures and boxing technique, you want to have a cool down. All right. So take your gloves off your athlete. Have a cool down. So your cool down can be any cardio machine in the gym. We're going to use a stationary bike, which you can use the elliptical, the stair stepper, and also the treadmill. This is also a good way to build endurance, to build the endurance capacity in your athlete. All right. So by just having a light cool down for about 10 minutes, it allows your athlete to relax his body. Now the diet for him will be a lot of high carb diet, low fat, and high protein diet. The carbs will give him stored energy before performing a workout like this. All right, a program like this will work for beginning, off-season boxers that are looking to become amateurs because it's focused on technique and also building strength. As you begin to go into your pre-season or pre-fights, you want to focus more on technique, skills, and plyometrics and mobility in the hips. All right. After your client has cooled down for 10 minutes, you also want to cool down with some static stretches. So we're going to cool down the stretches we begin with, so also to continue to decrease range of motion in our workout. So let's start with our toe touches, what we started with. Touch the toes, hold 30 seconds. Alright. Trunk rotation. Across the body. A workout like this is good to perform 3 days a week, giving your athlete time to rest on alternate days. Other activities you cross train, like bike and run and swim, is a good way to also build endurance. Thank you for tuning in. I hope my video was helpful for you to learn for boxing. My name is Julian again. See you next time.